Your impressions? It looked over on the sidelines like the defense really fired well. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, based on kind of the way we broke the teams up, we knew, defensively they were kind of had the upper hand, but it was good to see some of the young guys make some plays. It was good that everybody stayed healthy. That's a big piece of us having success moving forward. I think we got a chance to see some guys in some game-like situations, how they handle one play after the next, and obviously with limited play calling, you're kind of just banking on, hey, is that guy over there, quick enough, strong enough to kind of make a play. I think what you saw is you got a chance to see, defensively, we've got some talent. I've talked about the D-line around here for a long time. When we're healthy, we're pretty violent and pretty disruptive. We go down to Louisiana for the bowl game. We got 6 D linemen, 4 D ends. Can't make it the entire game that way. But if we could stay healthy, which in football, some people are going to get hurt. You just can't get depleted at a position. I think we got a chance to see that today.
What do you think of the quarterbacks today? I know you haven't had time to go into the film or anything like that yet, but just in the moment, what do you think? Good?
Yeah,
bad,
I think, when you look at it from the spring game perspective, one of the things that Cam Fancher does is he's mobile. So when you go spring game, he's not mobile because, he's not live, if that makes sense. So that limits a little bit of his, defensively, you don't have to play the same when you know the guy can't run. But you did see him get the ball down the field a couple times, and, a couple guys made some big plays. Obviously, with our offensive line situation in the spring being kind of numbers low, we had to split some guys. So when you piece it together, you don't always have the best 5 in front. So it minimizes some of the things that he was able to do consistently in the other 14 practices. But overall, I think, I'm evaluating how did he manage the game. Was he making sure that we were in the right play, right alignment? Was he going in the right direction with his eyes? I think you saw, I talked about it the last week. When they hit the back 9, Pete Zamora the last week and a half has been birdie. And I think you got a chance to see a little bit of that today. Now, his uniform hangs off him like a curtain, so he's still got to develop and get stronger. But I think you saw a little bit today. He got the ball out to some, wideouts. Brian Robinson made some big-time contested catches. He kind of managed the offense on the other side. So those are some of the things we look for. It's not perfect because you don't have the perfect play. You're not game planned, and you're not saying, hey, on third down they do this. So you kind of just let the guys play within the system. And I think you got a chance to see that, Cam's got a good feel comfort-wise for the system, and then Pete's done a really good job. The other guys did some good things, but as you continue to build, you're looking for who can stack quality plays on top of each other.
And when summer arrives and camp comes, Henry comes in, how does that just kind of change the dynamic of what you do at quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think it really changes the dynamic. It just puts another piece, an experienced player in the room. Obviously Henry's got to come in. He's got to continue to learn the system, and he's going to have to execute. I hope he can execute, but, at the same time, I hope that, Peter Zamora continues to get better. And I think what happens is when you add competition to the room, everybody, level rises. So, Chase is going to get better, Pete's going to get better, Cam's going to get better, which is going to make us a better team.
Coach, how big is, I know this is an open battle at quarterback. How big was it for these freshmen today to actually get valuable playing time in a spring game? It goes against each other, but at least as they're trying to develop and maybe want to contend for that job come August.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about, right, because you're playing yourself, right, so you got to kind of give them some focus. One of the things we talked about was who could play winning football in a game-like situation, and I think the quarterback's got a chance to do that. What does that mean? Who can realize, hey, it's third down, it's first down, it's second down. Hey, I can't take a sack in 2 minutes. Hey, this guy's not lined up the right way. Hey, this is the coverage. Hey, this is where the ball's supposed to go. So we were able to evaluate that. We'll be able to watch the film and evaluate who can play winning football. Obviously, this game is a quarterback-driven game, so that position has to play really well. But also, part of that position playing well is they got to be able to manage situations. They don't always have to make the perfect throw. They don't always have to make the perfect read. It's their job to manage, the plays. It's their job to manage the offense and keep a bad play from becoming a catastrophe. That's really their job. And then when the good plays are there, they got to execute. So I think you saw that a little bit today from all the quarterbacks. We got to get more consistency from all of them in order for us to be game ready. But I think it was a good step.
What are you most impressed with? Here we are 15 practices later. Over the last 15, what are you most impressed with after today?
I think our culture growth. We are a much more mature culturally football team, right? Doesn't mean the guys are older. But as far as doing things the right way, as far as trying to compete every day, as far as trying to motivate, trying to do the things that we preach that help us be consistent. It was one of the best 15 practices from a culture standpoint that I've ever been a part of. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't want you guys to go right. But when you have good culture, those, whether you win or lose, you're able to get better because guys are focused on what's really important and not, well, I didn't get this or we could have did this. So I think being culturally healthy is probably the thing I'm most impressed with.
Got a chance to look at some of the running backs behind Rasheen. He was limited in the spring, but what'd you like out of the running back group? Kalen had some good runs today.
Yeah, I think, obviously, Kalen's got some more experience than some of the younger guys, which is good. And I think you saw today that he's got some ability, and we got to be able to use him and Rasheen the right way. I think you saw the two younger running backs who still should be in high school at the prom right now. They've probably grown as much as the quarterbacks. Are they game ready? No. Physically, they got to continue to get stronger. But as far as speed of the game, understanding the system, understanding what college football is about, understanding that when that hole opens up, it's not going to stay open like it did in high school. Put them in a good position to be competitive in the fall. And that's what you want, right? You want to be able to have as many competitive guys. I look at those guys as guys that can help us on special teams, guys that can continue to grow into the running back role. But I think these 15 practices have really helped their overall football growth.
Coach, a handful of early enrollee true freshman guys that were here this spring. Just now that you've had the 15 practices and the sessions with them, just how do you think they're getting along, getting acclimated to things?
Yeah, I think, our program, the model is you adapt or die, so they adapted quick. But I think they grew up, and I think that part of that is because of our culture. The older guys wouldn't let them not do something, or they wouldn't let them not know something. And that's when you got good culture, that happens. And what that does is it allows your back end of your roster or your younger guys to develop faster, so that whatever they can do, whether it's scout team, whether it's every play, whether it's special teams, they can get to that level faster. And I think that's where we're at with all of those guys.
Anybody in particular stand out amongst that group today?
Are the younger
played a
guys?
lot.
I think,
yeah.
obviously, the quarterback gets all the praise and all the criticism. But I think he did a good job. I think when you look at the two running backs, I think Isaiah Gordon and A.J. Turner, they did some good things. They showed some of their shiftiness, some of their ability. So I'd probably say those guys. I'd have to watch the film. I'm an offensive coach, so unless the DB, falls down or trips somebody, I probably don't see it till the film. So I don't know about Jacoby Henderson. I didn't watch, but Jacoby Henderson has probably had the most effective spring, as far as making plays, being, in the mix. So I would probably say if I watched the film, he probably did some really good things. So once you watch it, you see it a little bit different, but the running backs I happen to kind of always watch for some odd reason. So they flashed a little bit to me today.
And kind of on the flip side of that, did the extra year of the eligibility help at all with the leadership in that locker room and stuff?
I think, you take a look at a guy like Stone, who, is his veteran leadership and his maturity. He's been around here a long time, so he's seen it go well. He's seen it go not so good. And sometimes your best teammates aren't always your best players. But you need some guys who will carry the fire axe, and not worry about, hey, am I going to catch 50 balls or am I going to play every play? And Stone's been one of those guys for a long time. And him being that person or that teammate or that leader is just as important as the guy that catches 50 balls, in my opinion. Because it shows the selflessness that we preach. It shows a guy who's not worried about, what this game is going to do for me. And the more of those you have, I think overall the healthier your team is from a culture standpoint. And Stone's probably been a really good model of that, if that makes sense.
He flashed a little bit today.
Yeah, well, we went in the locker room and I told him, I said, this is why we don't throw the ball to guys that, last name Scarcelli. I said, because you only can get to the 2-yard line. He thought, I'm going to show you. But he got a chance to redeem himself. And I think that's, again, some of those plays, the ball finds hard workers. And I think if you look over the history of football in general, some guy who wasn't always flashy, didn't always lead in stats, but just kind of work. I always think back Franco Harris told me a story at Penn State when I was there, and his whole freshman year, the head coach used to go, "Run to the ball, Franco, good things happen." And he carried that with him his whole career. And probably the catch that he's known for was because he was running to the ball. And so you kind of got to have some of those type of moments where, you know, a coach challenges you or a coach puts something in your head that you carry with you, and big plays happen.
Coach, finally, what about the indoor atmosphere festival kind of thing? You think that worked today?
Yeah, I thought it was great, man. I didn't know that the indoor weather was going to be the same as the outdoor weather. But I think it was good. You know, obviously, you know, we would love to be in the zone. But I think, honestly, for Marshall, and we got to look at things that fit us. You know, the festival and the tailgating and people kind of hanging out on the field, that's who we are. Obviously, we don't want to, you know, play inside all the time. But I don't know if we'd have been able to have, you know, that type of environment if we would have played, you know, in the zone. So I think we maximized our opportunities like we talk about on the football field. I think the fans inside, outside of sweating a little bit, enjoyed it. I think the fans outside, you know, enjoyed it. So, again, I think I look at this as the kickoff to the 2022 season. Everybody's got to practice. So the people that had beer pong and tailgating, they got to practice. We got to practice. We got to figure out who's bringing the cooler. We got to figure out who's responsible for the grill. And hopefully this weekend we got a little chance at that.
As you look at the summer moving forward, how much do you all use the film from this to evaluate needs, especially with the transfer portal and things like that? Do you all use this film more, or is it just a compilation, or how do you all work that as a staff?
Well, we know what we need. I mean, we know what we need after day one of practice. But what we were able to do, we're able to use this film for teaching examples. And, hey, if the guy's lined up in this position, you know, your footwork's got to be different. You know, quarterbacks, hey, when the safety's in this position, here's your progression. You know what I mean? So we can use it more from a teaching progression than an evaluation progression. I can tell you right now, I can close my eyes and tell you the positions we need help at. But we can teach off of what we were able to do this spring, and they have tangible reps and experience to say, oh, I remember when, you know, that happened. So now I know what you're talking about.
Steak and hot dogs?
Yeah, so the black team, Owen Porter was like the mayor lobbying for like redistricting. He wanted to trade guys. He felt like I stacked the team. And then he was the one yelling, keep beating, we're going to win. But yeah, so we're winners. The black team will eat steaks. I told them it's going to be flown in Wagyu style from Arizona. They're going to eat steaks. Losers will eat hot dogs on paper plates. So it'll be good. It's a good way to kind of end the spring. And we've got lucky we've got some donors who donate some beautiful Wagyu cut steaks all the way. From Arizona. The best of the best. But again, it's a good way to kind of get these guys competing, for something even when you're playing yourself.